Good morning and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Over the last few months, we have documented on this channel the sort of slowly going from super arrogance to almost panic within the ANC. Now, it's sometimes easy to miss. You see, because the ANC doesn't panic openly. It's not like they go, it's more a case of when you start to put everything together, or all of the evidence sort of starts to pile up, and you realize the ANC are doing things that is completely out of character for this historically very arrogant organization. For example, we've had two high-level NEC meetings just in the last few months, right? Two. We've had one of them now, which was an emergency meeting, which pretty much is unprecedented within the ANC. We've had a massive emergency meeting with all municipal workers across the country being pulled to the same place where the ANC delivered very stern warnings on all of these municipal leaders. The ANC is clearly shook. The polls tell the story. In the latest polls, for example, we have the ANC now sitting at under 30%. The DA's internal polling have the ANC sitting at about 29% in Johannesburg. The party is plummeting in Pretoria, in Cape Town. The only provinces where the party still seems to be holding on at least slightly is the Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo, which kind of makes sense when you understand the history and the demographics of those three provinces. These are very, very poor provinces where even just a slight increase in living standards, for example, one tap at a trust is going to be a marked improvement over decades of no running water coming to the trust. So in those areas, the ANC still enjoys some support, although even there is a waning to that support. But in all of the big metros, in Gauteng, for example, in the Western Cape, even in the Northern Cape, even in the Free State, even in Northwest, in KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC is seeing a massive decline in its support. And now with the GNU proving to South Africans that, hey, actually apartheid isn't going to come back, it's kind of okay, I think the ANC genuinely is starting to enter into panic. You look, for example, at this Ipsos poll that shows you about 80% of South Africans think that the country is on the wrong track. The ANC is desperate. Fikile Mbalula, for example, yesterday, and we're going to look at actually part of that speech from Fikile Mbalula, but Fikile tried to throw shade at the Western Cape, at Cape Town specifically, by saying that they have no indigent policy. Indigent policies literally just mean policies that take care of the poor, except luckily News 24 actually did their job for once, because when I saw this headline, I thought, man, am I going to have to do this now? But luckily they did do their job. Cape Town actually has one of the most progressive indigent policies in the country. Cape Town consistently taxes their rich and middle class in order to provide services to the very, very poor in the city. And although I think a lot of us are fed up with that because we're already paying insane taxes at the national level, it's what the city has to do, right? Because the national government is doing absolutely nothing to help. But here is the evidence, if evidence was ever required, that the ANC genuinely is panicked.
Lifestyle audit. We have committed as the ANC and taken a decision that we must undertake lifestyle audits.
So a lifestyle audit would be effectively getting an outside auditor firm, and he goes on to say that, outside auditor firm to look literally into the lifestyle of every single one of their high members as well as high-level personnel. And look at, if you live in a house, how did you buy that house? What is the paper trail for the house that you live in? Did you have the money to afford this house? All of these are super mega important, and lifestyle audits are oftentimes done by a lot of governments on a regular basis to try and root out corruption. It's actually something that's done in the Western Cape as well, the DA does these lifestyle audits with their own people. We'll talk about in the next story for today. We'll talk about what's happened in Cape Town, because there's a lot of misinformation about the tender fraud that's happened in Cape Town. But just listen a little bit further, and then I'll give you my opinion on Fikile Mbalula.
Lifestyle audits must be done by credible institutions. And this matter now is seized with the working committee to do that. At the level of government, the executive must lead from the front, including in the SOEs, including as well as in the public service.
All right, he just goes on to basically explain why they're doing the lifestyle audits, but we all know why. Of course, he can't say it in that many words, because he would basically have to admit that the ANC is losing support, and that would be devastating. No political party ever admits defeat. But the ANC has a problem, and all of this is great, but it's empty words unless there's action attached to it. For example, there's nothing wrong with the commissions that we have. For example, the Matlanga Commission. There's nothing wrong with that commission. The issue is that, like the Zondo Commission, nothing ever comes from that. This is just the ANC once again saying the right thing, but doing nothing about it. Because if the ANC truly wanted to be serious about corruption, it would destroy the ANC. Just take Paul Mashatile, for example. Paul Mashatile owns 3 homes worth millions of rands. I think 67 million rand is the total value of the 3 properties that he lives in. The salary for a deputy president in South Africa is 1.25 million rand a year. There is no shot that a man like that owns those homes. The homes, however, aren't owned by him. It's owned by his son-in-law, who owns a number of gas stations in Soweto. Anyone who knows anyone that has gas stations will know that they make money, but they're not millionaires. So there's a question about, where did this money come from? Paul Mashatile, his own son, is involved in massive fraud investigations in Gauteng, tied to the time that his own father was actually the overseer of the Gauteng Partnership Fund, and he got massive amounts of money from the Partnership Fund. So that's just the second in command, right? That's not even talking about Pala and the investigations that have to happen there. How did Cyril make most of his money? Every single member of the ANC lives like a king, at least the high-level members. And all of them live way beyond the means of a lowly, humble public servant. So the ANC, if they truly wanted to destroy corruption, they would have to destroy their own party. And the problem within the ANC is that because of its factional nature, each of these factions have leaders that have benefited greatly from the corruption within this country. And if that leader falls, that faction leaves. The ANC knows this. Cyril Ramaphosa, Fikile Mbalula, and the top members, the top 8 sort of the ANC, know full well there is nothing that they can do to stop this fraud, the corruption within the country, unless they're also willing to absolutely torpedo the ANC. And Cyril Ramaphosa himself said this. He would rather go down in history being remembered as a good president for the ANC than a great president for South Africa. Because to these people, the ANC comes first. Why? Because the ANC ultimately pays the bills. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like if you liked, the dislike if you didn't. A massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons as well as the YouTube channel members for your continued support. To get early access to a lot of videos, as well as sometimes videos of just ramblings and stuff that I think about, you can join YouTube membership. Just hit the button below this video. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, question everything, and I'll see all of you in the next one. A peace.